always on the edge. We fight and make love at the same time. Would you break up just because I told you what I did last night? I recall the times you said you're sorry. I'm still not sure if you told lies. But I don't care, it's all forgotten now. We're holy when we touch anyhow. Holy when we touch anyhow. Give me a chance to make it right. Just let me touch you like the first time.
Rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, I believe it is so true. It does not matter who is sitting behind this chair. What matters is who's on the other side of this thing. Anyways, today is Friday, February the 25th of 2022. Day, what is it? What day is it? I'm so lost. It's day 56 of the year and only 309 days left to go. Anyways, I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods as things are moving and grooving as we're heading forward into this world, as things have taken a kind of an interesting turn, that is for sure, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff with.
Radio Big.
Yes, definitely hanging out with our friends at Radio Big. So here we go. We're going to start talking about everything that is going on. It is Freeform Friday, so what does that mean for you? It means that we talk a little bit about everything. So if you jump into the box, if you jump into the messaging at the call-in radio aspect, callinradio.com, we will jump around and take the show to whatever direction you're trying to lean, go, talk about, and so on, with the exception of you trying to plug some kind of weird thing. That's normally something I just won't touch for the most part, especially if it's something that I don't understand. So keep that in mind too. Some people tend to get really pissed off about that, but hey, whatever. That's the way that it goes sometimes. So let's start talking right away. As you know, you've seen the news, you're hearing about what's going on and all that stuff. So let's go through it real quick. Let's talk about what was trending yesterday. Ukraine, of course, was trending. Chernobyl was trending, and so was NATO. We're all trending on Twitter's top 10 yesterday, as there was a lot of things going on in the middle, as we already know. Also, Twitter users reacted to the video posted of the 90210 actress Anna Lynn McCord. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Ad letter ruined fairy tale circulated amidst the dramatic headlines of Twitter's Thursday, which included Sweeping Beauty, Snow White Band, The Seven Dwarfs, The Snot Queen, Goldilocks, and the Three Bears. And not bears, but bear hairs, and the Fugly Duckling. Sean Penn was trending for a new project that he's working on. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So, as we are talking this morning, you are aware that there is a lot of stuff going on the opposite side of the planet. So there will be a lot of conversation about that today as we are talking. So I just want to make sure that we are referencing this right away. So you kind of know where it's going to go. I'm sure we're going to hit it in the news when we bring in the professional broadcasters. We're going to do some of the main stories around some of that aspect. So I just want to give you enough fair warning as we move forward with it. Before we get into that, though, of course, let's talk about some other things, about some things that are going on in regards. Matter of fact, no, let's not do that. Let's actually bring in our friends at Feature Story News. Let's get it started with that. We'll give you 3 minutes of feature story, and then we'll bring in some correspondents that are here, and then let's just start running, and then we'll talk about that other stuff here in just a hot moment. So let's start off with the news with some feature story.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Ukraine is warning Russian forces are closing in on the capital, Kiev. President Volodymyr Zelensky says pre-dawn missile strikes have hit both military and civilian targets. He says enemy saboteur groups have entered the city. Journalist Matt Fry is there.
The focus is now on Kiev. According to Western intelligence, and this is borne out by our local sources, the strategy here is to encircle the capital city, basically impose an ultimatum on the government here, saying either resign or we'll go after you. The president has appeared in a sort of combat T-shirt overnight on television saying he will not go anywhere, but he understands that he is target number one and that his family is target number two.
FSN's Rosie Burchard was outside the overnight meeting in Brussels, which signed off on toughened sanctions against Russia.
So a very somber mood here in Brussels today, and I've just heard from one EU official that the EU leaders were joined by video conference by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and they told me that that was a rather intimate exchange in which the Ukrainian president essentially appealed for help in a very difficult time. So a lot of concern and a lot of uncertainty moving forward here, but they need to now work out what comes after this and what can they do if those sanctions don't work.
Our Moscow correspondent Giles Gibson says Vladimir Putin is attempting to brush off sanctions.
We had President Putin appearing on television with some business leaders from Russia, and I think the message that they were trying to send there really was that despite the US, the UK, the European Union all moving forward with even tougher sanctions than they introduced just a couple of days ago, that the Russian economy is going to keep going, that they can survive this, and they're essentially trying to send the message out that they are not threatened by these sanctions that are coming down from the West. Well, I think we're seeing a reaction from the Russian people already before these economic sanctions have even had a chance to really bite, because the Independent Monitor here in Russia, a group that looks at protests, is saying that 1,700 people, just over actually, were arrested over the course of Thursday for trying to or actually managing to protest against this war. Roughly half of those, just under half, were in Moscow, but you also saw protests breaking out really across more than 50 cities in Russia.
Meanwhile, the UK says it's stepping up efforts to persuade European countries to kick Russia out of the SWIFT international payment system. SWIFT is used by thousands of financial institutions around the world to send money and information to each other. UK Defence Secretary Ben Wallace says London is working to convince European allies that are currently sceptical.
There's still time to work to do that, and we're trying.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. It's another day of air raid sirens, explosions, and a growing sense of panic in Ukraine. Russian forces are expanding their military operation, closing in on the capital city, Kyiv. Residents in many areas have been told to shelter in place, as thousands of others are still trying to get out of the country. Ukraine is ordering a general military mobilization across the country as it tries to fend off the invasion. Ukrainian parliament member Lisa Yasko says calling up reservists and conscripts is a major step and a necessary one.
That's crazy reality, but it's very inspiring because you see many people who are really ready to defend our land, and this is the choice that we have right now.
Ukraine has now banned all men between the ages of 18 and 60 from leaving the country. President Biden has unveiled another round of sweeping sanctions against Russia over the attack. Peter Alexander with more.
Tough new sanctions targeting some of the biggest banks in Russia, restricting exports of technology to the country, and also freezing trillions of dollars in assets, affecting many of the richest in that country, many of them close to Vladimir Putin himself.
Speaking from the White House, the president argued that Russia is already feeling the effects of sanctions. Biden has also authorized an additional 7,000 U.S. troops to Germany to further bolster NATO defenses. He again stressed that U.S. military troops will not be deployed to fight Russians, but warned that scenario could change if NATO allies are threatened. Protesters took to the streets in major cities around the world Thursday to show support for Ukraine. Anti-war demonstrations in Moscow led to more than 1,000 arrests. In New York, where more than 150,000 Ukrainians live in the area, hundreds marched to the Ukrainian mission and United Nations. In Washington, protesters went to the White House and the Russian embassy calling for an end to the war. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
These days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easier to find the people that you want to talk to faster and for free. I have to tell you, even before they ever became a sponsor here on Safety FM, we have used LinkedIn Jobs to help find the people that we have here on Safety FM. It's an easy service to use. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified candidates. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open. Don't speak with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's get it moving and grooving right away, talking about the things that are going on inside of the world of the news. As you've already heard, portion of what was going on. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about some other things here. Russian President Vladimir Putin has authorized what appears to be a full invasion of Ukraine. Explosions have been recorded across the country, not just in the Eastern Front. Last night, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that he was convinced that the Russian will eventually overthrow the Ukraine government. There is a lot of talk around the globe about how to stop this beyond letting Ukraine fend for itself. One of the biggest talking points is getting Russia off of SWIFT. Now, I know that they just try to tell you a little bit about it, so let's kind of give the breakdown here. What exactly is SWIFT? SWIFT stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. The Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. And it's a network that primarily helps facilitate money transfers between financial institutions. So let's just use some hypotheticals here. So let's pretend that the wife of the former mayor of Moscow wanted to send $3.5 million of an investment firm co-managed by a son of somebody in the government here and the son of American secretary. So the Bank of Moscow would then have to talk to the bank in Washington, D.C. to be sure that the money could be successfully be moved. SWIFT enables communication between these banks before the wire process or the wire process actually starts occurring. So does this make sense so far? So according to Plaid, SWIFT is used in about 11,000 institutions in about 200 countries across the globe. In January of 2021, the network processed more than 43 million such transfer messages per day. Yes, per day. Cutting off the Russian banks from SWIFT could cause major problems for Vladimir Putin by isolating the money kept in Russian banks by billionaires. Worth noting, there are reportedly more billionaires in Moscow than in any other city of the world. But that might change. These billionaires have a hallmark post-Soviet Russia, where wealthy where the people are protected by Putin in exchange for helping him carry out his facilitated agenda. So it would have a huge impact, of course. So, I mean, I want you to kind of take a look at both sides of the thing here. So we're talking now that we have people in Russia that are billionaires, or at least their money is there, and all of a sudden, boom, we're talking that you would be cut off from the money. So automatically that's going to change. So where it stands, a handful of countries are opposed to booting Russian bank out from the network. As of Thursday afternoon, they included Italy, Hungary, and the surprise of many, Germany. So worth noting, Germany would benefit greatly from natural gas delivered into the European Union from Russia throughout the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. This pipeline is not yet operational and awaits regulatory certification from the internal German regulators. Germany is more dependent on natural gas than ever, having worked on the last decade to take all nuclear power plants offline. Also worth noting, as the acknowledgement by President Joe Biden on Thursday, it would likely take weeks for Russia to feel the effect of the economic sanctions. So, meanwhile, the Ukraine has legalized the private possession and use of weapons as it arms its citizens to take on Russian troops. Yeah, you did hear that part correctly. They have said martial law, and you can now, if you are a person who is involved inside of the Ukraine, if you are a citizen, you can assist on taking on the troops. We will give weapons to anyone who wants to defend the country. Be ready to support Ukraine in the squares of the city. This is according to what the president of Ukraine said on Thursday. Ukraine's interior minister reported that 10,000 automatic rifles had been passed out throughout the day of Thursday. It was announced later Thursday that men aged between 18 to 60 men aged 18 to 60 would not be allowed out of Ukraine. So I want you to hear that. Men out between the ages of 18 to 60 cannot leave the country. So the hospital airport is the hub for cargo flights in out of Ukraine, in and out of Ukraine, near the the capital, just in case we're talking about it. So reports of the Russian 200 troops attempted to take control of the facility, but Ukrainian troops were able to stop and maintain them. Chernobyl, one of the first assets secured by Russian forces, was the exclusion zone in Chernobyl site back in 1986 nuclear meltdown disaster. It would mean nothing other than being a strategic position between Russian allies and the Ukrainian capital. And so the sinister would be afoot in regards of that. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. So as we are talking, so you have to think about this, the movement that is taking place and the strategy that's happening inside of there. So that would be a couple of different things to talk about as we are talking this morning. So I don't know. There is a lot of stuff that we can actually talk about right now. There is a lot of stuff that is going on. So we can give some breakdowns from some of the correspondents that are out there talking about some of this stuff and doing some of this stuff. So let's take a listen to this real quick. Russian invasion of the Ukraine has led to higher gas prices. Russian invasion of the Ukraine likely lead to higher gas prices. Trey Thomas has some more information about this.
Gas Buddy says the price of gas in the U.S. could go up anywhere from 5 to 15 cents per gallon over the next few weeks and could rise even more dramatically if the situation worsens in Ukraine. The national average for a gallon of gas could be over $4 by Memorial Day. President Biden has vowed to use every tool available to limit the pain at the pump. I'm Trey Thomas.
So I know that a lot of people are going to be talking about this. A lot of people are going to actually being going around and saying, okay, let's talk about some of this information that's going on in regards to the gas pump. I don't think that that's going to should be the primary concern as we are talking at the moment. I know that there's going to be some stuff that we're actually talking about. Thanks for the message, drink food too. Do I have permission to send you over the most beautiful song of Turkey right now? If you would like to do so, you're more than welcome to. Anyways, that's a message coming in through the box there. Anyways, like I do talk about from time to time, if you're interested in jumping onto the show, you can do so by actually going to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com if you're so inclined to do that. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on about this. You know that we are going to be going back and forth and talking about all of this information that is going on. So EU approves massive sanctions on Russia. The European Union says that it will impose massive sanctions as Russian banks and imports following the Ukraine invasion.
The president of the EU Commission says the package of massive and targeted sanctions approved overnight will affect 70% of the Russian banking market and key state-owned companies. The EU sanctions are designed to restrict Russia's access to European capital markets, raise its borrowing cost, and make it impossible for Russia to upgrade its oil refineries. I'm Trey Thomas.
So you are aware a lot of things will be taking place over the next little bit. We'll start hearing more and more messaging when it comes to these things. We're going to hear this for the next, who knows how long this is going to be in regards of how these conversations will go. So let's talk about this a little bit more here. Ukraine counts at least 137 dead. Russian forces are eyeing the Ukrainian capital this morning. Citizens have been scrambling to get out of the country, and when they can't, turning to places like underground subway shelters.
It's a safe place. I mean, subway, underground, it's a safe place. And for now, I mostly fear about future days because I don't know what we should do.
At least 137 Ukrainians have been killed since the Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered the troops to attack. Ukrainian citizens are scrambling to get to safety as Russian forces attack. Some are seeking shelter in subways, many which were built during the Cold War in case of an attack from the U.S.
I have a child, 1.7 years old, and a sister, 3.5 years old. And we don't just feel safe, risking with our kids, trying to live anywhere. So for now, we're here.
So that's what's going on there. Of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about during this time frame because we just don't know where this is going to go. Let's talk a little bit more about things that are coming close in. So here we go. Russian closing in on the Ukrainian capital. It's another day of air raids, explosions, and growing sense of panic in the Ukraine. Richard Engel has more information.
On the first day, Russia largely targeted military sites to try and destabilize and break the back of the Ukrainian military. It hasn't worked, and many here now fear that the next step is going after the main population centers.
Okay, so Russian forces are expanding their military operation and closing in on the capital city of Kyiv. Residents in many areas have been told to shelter as thousands of others are still trying to get out of the country. For many of that won't be possible. Ukraine has banned men between the ages of 18 to 60, as I said before, from leaving, and has outnumbered military calls up reservists and try to feud with Russia. So a lot of stuff going on for sure. In regards of that. Don't even know where to go with some of this information. At this particular point, let's go ahead and bring in John Smalls at the moment and let him tell you what's going on inside of the Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, February 25th, 2022. Equities tumbled in the wake of what has become an official Russian invasion of Ukraine. The S&P 500 fell more than 2% at the low of the day, but closed well off those lows. While there are signs the sell-off is overextending, the real test for the market comes today with the PCE price index. The trouble in Europe is news that sparked the sell-off, but inflation is what set the stage. If the PCE comes in as hot as expected, it should seal the deal on whether or not the FOMC hikes rates by 50 basis points or 25 basis points at their next meeting. Next week's market action may be just as volatile due to geopolitical events and the release of important economic data. Next week will bring the 1st of March and the monthly NFP read on Friday. The data is expected to be strong, but could give further evidence of peaking within the economy. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for letting us know exactly what is going on inside of the world. Here it is, 26 minutes past the top of the hour, as you and I are hanging out and talking about all this new stuff. I know it seems more serious today. But it's definitely a conversation that we have to have. And some people might be sitting here and going, okay, a good chunk of your audience is in the U.S. Yes, I get it. But also at the same time, too, there is enough information out there that I think that we need to share it. We need to share what exactly is going on. And I know that you're probably being bombarded by media all over the place talking about this, but it's something that we need to say, hey, this is what's going on in real time. And that's what we have done here, where we're trying to get you as close to real time as possible when it comes to different things that are going on inside of the world. So as we continue talking here, Biden unveils sweeping new sanctions on Russia over the Ukrainian invasion. President Biden is unveiling another round of sweeping sanctions. NBC's Peter Alexander has more information.
Tough new sanctions targeting some of the biggest banks in Russia, restricting exports of technology to the country, and also freezing trillions of dollars in assets, affecting many of the richest in that country, many of them close to Vladimir Putin himself.
Okay, speaking with the White House yesterday, Biden argued that Russia is already feeling the effects of the sanctions. Banks and Biden has also authorized additional 7,000 U.S. troops to Germany to further bolster NATO's defenses. He again stressed that the U.S. military will not be deployed to fight Russians, but warned that if the scenario could change if NATO allies are threatened. So there is some additional information on things that are going on right there. I don't know what to say, because there just seems to be so much stuff going on at some point here that it's like, I don't know what to say and what not to say and how far we want to go with it. So let's talk about this. Bitcoin is up 7% after Russian invasion market sell-off. Bitcoin is rebounding after the Russian invasion of the Ukraine caused major sell-off by many people. Trey Thomas has more information.
About $150 billion worth of cryptocurrency was wiped off the market after the invasion. This morning, Bitcoin was trading over 7% higher, according to CoinDesk. Digital coins, including Ether and XRP, are also seeing gains. I'm Trey Thomas.
So a lot of stuff going on there for sure. So we're going to have to probably move on and talk about some other things. We are aware that there are some other things going inside of the news of the world. So let's see where we can go with this as we are talking. Let's take a look around. The CDC is expected to announce today that it's changing the guidelines of who should be wearing a mask everywhere at all times. It's likely that they're going to shift from a blanket metric of transmission rates to more of a nuanced guidance that makes multiple factors. So a nuanced approach would be considered multiple factors is how most of the country has been living for months, but just something to think about as we are talking. As I would like to make this transition here, I'll try to do this as smooth as possible, but as you are aware, it is Friday, so there are new movies that are out today when it comes to the video on demand services. So if you are staying at home this weekend and not doing much of anything, here are the newest movies. New to Amazon Prime is Prodigy. New to HBO Max is The French Dispatch. New to Hulu is No Exit. New to Netflix is Restless, and Tyler Perry's Medea's Homecoming. So there you go. There are some new movies that are going out. Talking about the world of movies real quick, Jennifer Lawrence is a mom now. The actress welcomed her first child and her art dealer husband. So no details on when the birth happened. So wherever she had a boy or a girl will be known. I will let you know what is going on there. Anyways, let's do this real quick because I think it's important to talk about this. So let's talk about it now. Because this is going to be one of these times in life where people are going to be having a lot of struggles, more than normal, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to what's going on inside of the world. So let's talk about this, about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. Or you can go to their website at afsp.org. Now listen, there's all kinds of stuff on this website. Let's not lie about this. But when you go there, there is a section that says get help. There's also a section that says real stories, where it is easy to find out information on what's going on. It is easy to ask questions. It is easy to go in there and say, hey, and there is no judgment. There is no stigma that comes with it. It is people that are wanting to help, assist, and being able to change things. That is readily available for you. So if you're so inclined to do so, you're more than welcome to go over there and see what information's there and see what things you can change and so on. So like I said, afsp.org, that's afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. There you go. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world. And I think that we are here far enough in that we might be at the portion where we might just need to have John Smalls and give us the Motivation Minute right now.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Daniel. Daniel Barrett said, "Respect the ones that truly love you and not the ones that think they love you." Now let's think about this in the business world. We've all been in a business where the person working at the front counter is also answering the phone. People standing there trying to buy something are interrupted by somebody calling in to ask a bunch of questions. Now I'm not saying those people are not important as well, but the people standing in line are right there. I was recently in this situation and they answered the phone with, "Please hold, I'm with a customer." And they put them on hold. It was good for everyone. He got me out of there quicker so he could focus on helping them. I thought that was a great idea. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
You more when you seem too far away, and you can blame it all on me as long as we can find our way. Do you remember all the times we tried to stop this? Yeah, we end up the same every time. Cause when our heart is weak, there's nothing left to fight about. We're holy when we touch anyhow. Give me a chance to make it right. Just let me touch you like the first time. We don't need answers to survive. Just let us keep on with the black guys. Give me a chance to make it right. Just let me touch you like the first time. We don't need answers to survive. Just let us keep on with the black guys. Somewhere in between our secrets, there's an imminent storm. It's unavoidable, yeah. But as long as I feel that you see me, I will pay no mind at all. So give me a chance to make it right. Just let me touch you like the first time. We don't need answers to survive. Just let us keep
Okay, there you go. That is Daniel Kawawa. Daniel Kawawa with Black Lies. Thank you to Daniel Kawawa for allowing us to play this one here on the Rated R Safety Show. This song's readily available on iTunes and Spotify, in case you were wondering. Okay, so there you go. Let's get back into it. It is 39 minutes past the top of the hour. You and I are hanging out on this Freeform Friday as we get to do all the things that we get to do together, because that's always important to talk about. That's for sure. So let's do this. Let's get into the information of Ukrainian protest updates. Let's talk about it. Protesters come out to support Ukraine. Take a listen to this.
Go home! Russia, go home! Russia, go home!
Demonstrators across the globe are calling to the end of the Russian military actions against the Ukraine. Protesters rallied on Thursday in New York Times Square before marching through the midtown of the Russian mission onto the United Nations.
My family is being bombarded at the moment as we speak, so every time I check my phone, I don't know if they will still be there.
It's awful, obviously. Like, we have our families there, our relatives, and right now they're trying to find some safe place.
The New York City is home for America's largest Ukrainian population. Some 150,000 Ukrainians live throughout there, throughout the 5 boroughs that are there. Protesters are on the street in Chicago, in the Ukrainian Village neighborhoods yesterday as well.
We have no recourse but to demonstrate and fight back, and we are going to fight back.
So a lot of stuff going on inside of there as we are going around and talking about the different aspects of what we are seeing out in the world around as people are taking to the streets, letting their feelings be known on what is happening out there. Let's talk about some other things that are going on also inside of the world. Let's take a listen to this real quick. 10 years since the Trayvon Martin's death. Tomorrow marks the 10 years since the death of Trayvon Martin, an event that paved the way to the Black Lives Matter movement and that caught the attention of the nation for the first African American president.
Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago.
After the 17-year-old was shot and killed in Florida, then the President Obama said that it might be a good time to examine laws in states that stand your ground. Self-defense law. The man who shot Martin, George Zimmerman, was found not guilty. Nearly a decade to the day after his death, a group of Democratic lawmakers and gun control activists cited Trayvon Martin yesterday as they announced that the formation of the National Task Force to try to repeal Florida's Stand Your Ground law and similar versions elsewhere. So there you go. Anyways, I know that we're talking a lot this morning about the things that are going on, but I am almost wondering with the things that are happening if we should do another round here when it comes to our newscast sequence, and I think that's what we're going to do now.
More people in Ukraine are hiding in bomb shelters and subway stations today as the capital is now under attack. Officials fear the city could be overrun as early as tomorrow. More from Richard Engel on the front lines.
On the first day, Russia largely targeted military sites to try and destabilize and break the back of the Ukrainian military. It hasn't worked, and many here now fear that the next step is going after the main population centers.
Russian forces are expanding their military operation, closing in on the capital city, Kyiv. Residents in many areas have been told to shelter in place as thousands of others are still trying to get out of the country. For many, that won't be possible. Ukraine has banned all men between the ages of 18 and 60 from leaving as an outnumbered military calls up reservists to try and fend off Russia. It's almost time for President Biden to meet with NATO allies in a virtual summit. They'll discuss the next steps as Ukraine works to defend itself. The president already ordered more troops to Germany and a new wave of sanctions targeting Russian banks. The UK's defense minister says the Russian army failed to deliver key military goals on day one of the invasion. Ben Wallace told Sky News today that 450 Russian soldiers have died in the conflict so far and that the Russian military is behind in its timetable. Wallace said one of the significant airports that they were trying trying to capture with their elite special forces has failed to be taken. In fact, he said Ukrainians have taken it back. New York City protests are being held against the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Demonstrators rallied Thursday in Times Square before marching through Midtown to the Russian mission and on to the United Nations.
My family is being bombarded at the moment as we speak, so every time I check my phone, I don't know if they will still be there.
It's awful, obviously. Like, we have our families there, our relatives, and right now they're trying to find some safe place.
Governor Kathy Hochul says New York stands ready to welcome Ukrainian refugees. Before the opening bell, stock futures are pointing to a lower open on Wall Street this morning, as the world keeps a close eye on the situation in Ukraine. I'm Michael Kastner.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alasamorgan.com. There has been additional evidence confirming that aerobic exercise slows down cognitive decline. Aerobic exercise training for 12 months led to a 47% improvement in memory and increased blood flow at rest to the hippocampus and other brain regions in individuals 60 years and older with memory problems. Other research has found that aging athletes have better blood flow into the brain cortex region than sedentary older adults. The exercise program consisted of 3 exercise sessions per week of 25 to 30 minutes each, with intensity of 75 to 85% of maximal heart rate. There is mounting evidence that aerobic exercise is a cost-effective approach to slow age-related cognitive decline and improve memory. For additional resources, check out alasamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
So I'm going to assume that was aerobic exercises because I'm not sure what that even was there. So there you go. Anyways, 46 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out and talking and moving and grooving and going through everything that we are finding here in regards to this. Let's see if we can bring in some other things that are going on, some new movies that are opening today at the movie theater if you're so inclined to do so. Studio 66 is coming on. It's rated R. It's considered a horror comedy put out by Foo Fighters. Chrono is another one that's actually comes out today, PG-13. And then The Desperate Hour is another one that comes out today, rated PG-13. Mystery drama limited edition of what will be coming out if you are taking a look at that as well. Okay, the White House announced Thursday that it will make actions to severe connections between major Russian banks in the United States. During the press briefing, the administration said that it will not immediately stop buying Russian oil, which also could do at the Keystone XL pipeline where active. Joe Biden said on Thursday that Russian President Vladimir Putin has much larger ambitions than just taking on Ukraine. He cites the sense that reestablishing the power, influence, and territory of the Soviet Union. Putin is a former KGB agent, and before becoming president was the head of the Russian security called FSB, which is basically the post-glamorous version of KGB. Biden said that the effects of the sanctions implemented today and in the coming days will have a impact that will be felt by Putin and his people and the political cronies and allies, according to what he said. Worth asking, though, if the White House expects the effects of the economic sanctions to take weeks to feel the impact, why not proactively impose them? So just a question there. Or build an international consensus on which the sanctions can be enacted at the moment that Russia crossed the line. Was the State Department thinking of other things or having other strategies at the time on what they should come up with? Will the U.S. stop buying Russian oil in 2021? We purchased about 25 million barrels of Russian oil. So we need to figure out what those are made up of right now as we are talking. So just some things to think about as we are putting those into place. So, a lot of stuff going on inside of the world as we are speaking and moving and grooving. Anyways, no winner for Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for $87 million jackpot or a $58.2 million cash payout. No winner for Friday night's Powerball drawing. Saturday night's drawing will be for $58 million jackpot or a $38.8 million cash payout. So there you go. Anyways, if you're looking for some new albums today, there is a plethora of them coming out. Avril Lavigne releases Love Sucks. Let's see. We'll jump around on some of these because there's at least 20. Scorpions, Rock Believer, Soft Cell, Happiness Not Included. Tears for Fears, The Tipping Point. Various artists from the Euphoria Season 2, the original soundtrack, does come out today, or did come out today. And VHS Collection, Night Drive. All available as you are putting there on there as we are speaking. So did you hear about this? Actress Annalene McCord shared a video of social media of her reciting a spoken word poem directed to Russian president. She said that it had been Putin's mother, that he had been felt loved, and implied that to turn not such thirst of reclaiming the territories once again by the Soviet Union. Many were confused whether she was serious or delusional when it was coming out in regards of talking about this. I have the clip if you want to take a listen to it. So here we go.
Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under a night sky. If I was your mother, the world would have been warm. So much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul-stealing pain that the little boy you must have seen and believed, and the formulation of thought quickly taught that you lived in a cruel, unjust world. Is this why you now decide no one will get the best of you? Is this why you do not hide nor away shy from taking back the world? Was it because so early in life, all that strife racked your little body with fear? If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust, the violence, the terror, the uncertainty. I would have died to give you life. Oh, dear Mr. President Putin, if only I'd been your mother. Perhaps the torture of unwrit youth would not within your heart imbue ascription to such fealty against that world that you thought was so cruel. Perhaps you would hold dear human life, and on this night, instead of Mother Russia, you would call me, and I would set your mind quite free with the love that only a mother can give, and only a mother can take away. When holds she doesn't the harm at bay and leaves her boy for the promise of a man. Whatever your story, Mr. President Putin, I can't imagine how it feels in your heart, but I know if I was your mother, that would be a start towards the awareness of what a powerful being of light you could be if your mind was only free from the violence you've seen when you were just 2 or 3. I cannot believe I was born too late, in a different place, when I would have loved you so, watched you play wherever you go.
And that's it. So that's the thing that's circulating. I'm not even sure what that is, but felt that you should probably take a listen to it. Anyways, I think that today is one of those days that we need something out of the ordinary, so let's go ahead and do it because it is Friday.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. Given our nation's rich spiritual heritage, I must ask, how did we get here? How did we get to the place that everything imaginable, every unspeakable degeneracy, every shameful debauchery is not only tolerated, but celebrated, while Christians and Christianity are denigrated at every turn? We are responsible. When we should have been speaking with a prophetic voice, we opted for political correctness. Instead of boldly declaring the full counsel of God and denouncing the sins of our nation, we were preaching self-help sermons. We are to blame, and we will answer to God. Lord, have mercy on us and forgive our sins. Restore our holy boldness. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at 1minutedevotion.com.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Welcome to Freeform Friday, that is for sure. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world here, because there is a lot of stuff. I know that we're kind of all over the place, but hey, man, we need to talk about some of the things that are happening, as we have no clue exactly what is going on with these moments of everything just kind of being pure chaos as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 2020, a memorial service was held for NBA star Kobe Bryant at the Staples Center. More than 80,000 were in attendance. The former Laker died in a helicopter crash the month prior, along with his daughter, Gianna Bryant, and 7 others. Let's talk about some other things that are going on real quick inside of the world. If you're looking for some birthdays to celebrate today, we got some of those on what is going on. Tony Perry, Justin Bieberman, Jamil are all turning 36. Maria Kanellis turns 40. Rashida Jones turns 46. Chelsea Handler, 47. Chelsea Handler's 47. I did not know that. Sean Astin is 51. Tiona Leone turns 56. Carrot Top turns 57. Lee Evans turns 58. Paul O'Neill, 59. John Doe, the punk singer, turns 69 today. And Ric Flair, yeah, the wrestler, Ric Flair, the nature boy, yeah, he turned 73 today. So there you go, some information for sure. So let's continue with some other things just real quick as we are getting towards the end of our time. Now, listen, I have news story after news story that we can continue to go into and talk about and move forward to, and I just don't know if that's going to be the thing to do. I'm looking at this today, and realistically, as we are talking and taking a look at what is going on, you need just to talk to some people today and see how they're doing, how they're managing with this, how they're handling this. There is so many different aspects on how people are perceiving this. I will tell you, I was on the phone yesterday with some people. I spoke with some people yesterday in person, and everybody's having a different reaction to this. So just because you think that things might be one way, you don't know how people are reacting, and people are impacted by things in life much differently than you are. So today might be a good day just to do the reach out, just to grab the phone, even if you get to see somebody in person potentially, just to have a conversation, see how they're holding up. I mean, as you hear, people are going to the streets asking for this to come to an end. You're seeing, there's still a lot of pent up stuff from what has been going on during the pandemic to now, and now we're seeing, the different gears of war that are taking place, because this is exactly what's occurring, and who knows where we're going to be next week when it comes to this. So as we are seeing this, I would probably recommend strongly limit your news watching. Limit your news listening, because this could be something that could take up a lot of your time. This could be something that takes up too much information, and you're going to live it. You're going to go through all these aspects of your thinking about it. I know today we really did not speak a lot about what is going on inside of the world of safety, besides trying to tell people on how they can be safe based on what some of the other people were reporting. And if I'm being 100% and telling you exactly how it was, this morning I wasn't sure how this show was going to go. I didn't know what to come in and talk about, because there's a lot of this information out there. There's a lot of this that's going on, and I did not know where to go with this. And don't get me wrong, we try to sit around and, poke the bear, have fun, do all this other stuff. But I didn't feel that today should be that day. I felt that, it needed to be a little bit more serious than normal as we are talking, because we don't know what exactly is going to happen next. So a lot of seriousness with this one today. Don't want to cause too much havoc. That's for sure. So if anything, focus on what is going on with you today. Focus on your friends, how this might be impacting them, because it's important. Like I said, you can always go to our friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. if you are struggling with depression during these times and anything that you're going through. So that's going to sum it up. I'm not going to give you a joke. I'm not going to give you anything else in regards to that, but I will leave you with a deep thought for today. Gray skies are just clouds passing over. We will come out on the other side of this. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen. I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
Duh.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.